when we talked about this, I said, well, I'd like to go off and produce records. I thought I was interested in taking other acts and doing the production work and kind of overseeing the making of records for other people. And after a couple records of doing that, I decided that wasn't what I wanted to do. And all during this period of time, you know, I kept bringing these songs to John and to other people, and they said, well, you should go off and record your own songs. I said, that's great. You know, that'd be fun to do. And I never really took it very seriously, you know. And then during these production jobs and stuff, I thought, well, I can do that. You know, I didn't see anybody doing anything that I couldn't do. And I decided, well, I should just go off and do it because I think it would be more fulfilling for me. There's things that I want to say in music and lyrics that you know, if I would go make records, it would be much more satisfying than helping somebody else get their message out, you know. And so basically that's why I'm here. You know, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing right now.
So there might come a time when you and John and the group get back together and maybe.
Of course, yeah. Yeah, it was never planned as any sort of permanent thing. This is sort of a hiatus right now for John, which is good. You know, it'll be good for him, and he's off doing things that he enjoys doing, and I'm doing what I enjoy doing. So you know,
yeah, a lot of times, I guess, when you're in the public's eye, I mean, rumors get started and things, and it's nice that you can put them to rest.
Yeah, I remember when we first got started, and we'd sort of had a little bit of success. You know, we'd put out the American Fool record, and it was on the radio a lot, and we were sort of in the public's eye a little bit. I mean, at least twice a week, my mom would call up, Larry, is this true? You know, she'd hear some crazy rumor or something, I'd say. And finally, you know, I'd say, Mom, don't pay no attention to that stuff. You know, that's all just, you know, people talk all the time. So I said, you know, when you hear that stuff, just let it go in one ear and out the other, and she doesn't even bother me with it anymore. I mean, it's sort of, she's more seasoned now. I think we all are, but you sort of have to take things with a grain of salt when you hear them.
Yeah,
because we're both from small towns. We know what happens, right? You know.
Well, yeah, we're all from small towns, and we know.
Yeah.
Everybody knows what everybody else is doing, or even when they don't.
Yeah, at least they think they do.
If your solo career, I mean, if it works out and you really go big, would you still consider going back with like John Mellencamp?
Well, I go into the theory that there's nothing that can't be worked out. You know. If I go off and start making my own records and do fairly well at it, you know, of course I want to devote most of my time to that, because I think that I think the whole thing should be given a fair chance, you know, and that's mainly why. Originally, when I started this, I was just going to go out and maybe try to get a small record deal and just make a little record and put a little band together and do a little tour, you know. But as things have progressed, my manager and myself both have surmised that wouldn't be the best thing, that the songs that I'm writing now, the caliber of songs that I'm writing now, needs a shot, you know, because originally the material wasn't as good as I would have liked it to have been. But as I keep writing, the material gets better, and it's just something that I'm learning. And I don't want to really, I want to make sure that it has a fair shake, and that's the main thing. But as far as playing with John again, I probably, you know, maybe I won't do any good at doing this. Maybe people won't want to buy records that I make or whatever. It doesn't matter. And even if they do, I'm sure that me and John will get back together.
Well, right now, are you looking to make an album, or?
Yeah, like I was just telling you, I'm in the phase called shopping right now. We're talking to record companies and trying to find a home, basically, because whenever you go into basically it's a business venture with another company, you want to make sure that it's the right place for you, and that the people involved are very enthusiastic and believe in the whole idea of what you're doing. And right now, it's actually, people would think it'd be a lot easier for me because I've been around these people, but in reality, being with John all these years is almost like a strike against me, because I've been with John for all these years, and my style and John's style is kind of the same thing, you know, because the way we've made records is I've always, you know, been fairly influential in the way that the records actually come out. You know, even if I didn't write the song, the style and the of music and the guitar parts and things like that that are sort of signature to John are what I do. So when I go off and do my own music, really the songs have changed. They're my songs, but it's still that style. And that's what I've done all these years, and that's how I make records. So it's a little difficult for me in that respect. Plus, sidemen really don't have a good track record as far as selling records and being able to sustain a solo career. So, you know, people say, well, you've been doing this all this time. It should be you just go out and make a record and it's that easy, but it's really not. And people that aren't in the music business don't know that.
I would think that the biggest advantage you would have over anybody would be in making the contracts or the deals or whatever. You'd know what to look for because you guys have been burnt on a couple of deals.
Yeah. Well, then again, that's a problem also, because then when you walk into these people's office, you know, they would sure rather deal with somebody that didn't know what they was doing than somebody that knows exactly what they want, if you know what that means. You know?
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, because when I, you know, step in and I talk to somebody from a record company, it's just I tell them exactly what I want, and that's the way it has to be, because I know that there's right ways to do things and there's wrong ways to do things, and it's a little tough, you know. It's kind of tough for maybe a young record company executive to see me walking in and be that frank about exactly what I want and how I think things should be done. But I really believe that if a record company does things the way I want them done, that it will benefit both of us.
Yeah. Well, I know, in the beginning of the career with you and John, weren't there even some records made that didn't even get released over here because they were in some sort of...
Well, originally when John made a first record, it was more or less a demo tape that he had put together in a small studio here in Bloomington, and next thing John knows, it's pressed, and then there's an album cover and everything else, and then the second record just didn't even get accepted by the record company, and so basically we started all over at that point. New manager, and our manager at that time lived in England, had a record company over there that was based out of London, and was just distributed in Europe and Australia. And so we did a record on that label that had no distribution or had no deal here in the United States. And that's where I Need a Lover, that song came from, which is really our first song that did well. And it was a hit over in Australia. So then when we came over here on the strength of that, we made a record deal with that label and brought the label with us, which was Riva Records. So that's kind of how all that worked out. It gets kind of confusing if you sort of have to sort of live through it to understand it sometimes. If you try to explain it in 5 minutes, it sounds kind of funny, but basically we had a...
So you made it overseas before you made it here in the United States?
Basically, yeah. We lived in London during '77 and '78, and we made that record, and we did about 4 or 5 tours of the UK and Europe. And that was, I consider that my paying the dues part of what I've done, because it was, the way things were done was fairly shoddy, and it wasn't, as I was just talking about, things weren't being done the correct way, because there are correct ways to do things. So I don't wish that upon anybody. If you're a young musician starting out a career, try to do things right the first time, and that way you can avoid a lot of problems, which could end your career if you're, not very resilient. Of course, if you're not very resilient, you better try to pick another career anyway. So,
yeah, this is a hard life. I guess, probably starting out, you had to break down your own equipment and pack it in, and...
Oh yeah, but that's the easiest part of the whole thing. A lot of it's the mental stress and the thought of the unknown, which is in a lot of careers also. But
Yeah.
in the music business. It just seems a little more, you know, it's dominated by trends and things that just don't even make sense.
Well, and you also have a family that you're away from a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, at that point I didn't. I wasn't married yet then, but that's one of the things that I'm, you know, fairly used to. It's a little hard. I've got a daughter now that's 7 years old, and it's a little harder to go away for long lengths of time simply because she's 7 years old, and it's harder on her. But my wife, I mean, I was traveling when we met, so she's used to it. As a matter of fact, she likes to get me out of the house. So,
well, that's great.
because people try to describe what's your sound like, and it's really a combination of a lot of things that I've picked up over all these years. The main thing is what I do, and then I've surrounded myself with some musicians that do other things. You know, there might be a little Texas influence, a little bit of Louisiana influence here. There might even be a little Mick Ronson influence in parts. You know, I mean, I draw from everywhere. It's just according to the song, but there's that main thread that runs through the thing that I do that'll always be there, and I don't think I can escape it, and I don't think I want to. I think, but the longer I do things on my own, away from my former situation with John and with Michael and Toby and Kenny, the more I'll grow away from that. You know, I will start doing other things.
Yeah. I hate to keep going back to John and everything because, you know, you are starting with your career. But you guys were some of the first people to bring back some different instruments and putting it in rock and roll or whatever. I mean, the violins and the
yeah, the fiddle and the accordion and all that, those were things that were always there, you know. I really got, I'm just completely in love with Cajun music, and John is too. I mean, it's one, I mean, when I just want to sit and just listen to music and just, you know, have it as noise or whatever, or just to create an atmosphere, the Cajun, the good Cajun style music is my favorite, and they're great instruments, you know. I mean, the accordion's really got a bad rap, you know. I don't know if you ever saw the Far Side cartoon where it said, "Welcome to heaven, here's your harp." Then on the other side it said, "Welcome to hell, here's your accordion." You know, it's really got a bad rap, and we discovered, actually on the road, we had Lisa Germano on the road with us. She was playing fiddle, and that was completely John's idea. He wanted to bring a fiddle in, much like, which is one of my favorite records, is Gasoline Alley, which I think is one of the best rock and roll records ever made. And there's hardly any electric guitar on that. It's mostly acoustic guitar, drums, bass, and fiddle, which, you know, the fiddle was played by Ron Wood, and there's another guy I think played some fiddle on there. But it's you know, I'm sure that's where John got the idea, because it's like a good rock and roll instrument if it's used correctly. If you play it like a bluegrass fiddle, then it don't work out. But
Yeah.
if there's a certain style of playing it, and we discovered that if we used the fiddle and the accordion together, it made a real unique sound.
Once again, Farm Aid is coming up what day?
April 7th,
And
all day.
all day.
I'm not sure exactly what the starting time is. I think maybe it'll either be 11 o'clock or noon, but there are going to be a lot of acts. The last count I heard was close to 60, somewhere in the high 50s, 60s range. It changes every day because of new people coming in and some not being able to make it. And then the VIP party the night before at the Convention Center, 500 Ballroom. And you can get tickets through Ticketmaster, so I want everybody to come on down. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Okay. Well, we want to thank you for letting us come over and talk to you today, and we wish you all the luck in the world, and you'll make it. You already have, but
Thank you.
you'll make it on your solo career, I'm sure. And we want to thank you for letting us come over, and we appreciate it.
All right, thank you.